The British Grand Prix may have been an exciting race, crowning Sainz his first ever F1 win in pretty spectacular style. But the first lap incident involving Pierre Gasly, George Russell and Zhou was without a doubt a terrifying crash that could have been a lot worse for the latter had it not been for the car's halo saving him from any serious injury. Now, as part of the never-ending quest for improved safety, the FIA pores over the details of each major accident like this one to better understand the factors that worked as planned to help the driver and areas where perhaps improvement can be made. One of the aspects of the Zhou incident that will likely be looked at especially closely will be what happened to the C42's roll hoop, with images of the car in the aftermath showing it had been ripped clean off. So before we look into maybe areas that need improving, it's important to differentiate between the two main safety measures in place to understand what really happened. Firstly, the roll hoop is designed to be the first line of defense should the car flip. Imagine a line going from the top of the crash structure down to the cockpit, where the driver's head must not pass through this line for it to be deemed safe, also giving them additional space to escape if the car is inverted. The requirements of the primary rollover structure are to sustain loads equivalent to 60 kilonewtons laterally, 70 kilonewtons longitudinally, and 105 kilonewtons vertically. This is a different protective system from the halo, which is the protective titanium structure that sits directly above the cockpit. Designed to take a maximum vertical or horizontal load of 125 kilonewtons, it can, according to Mercedes' James Allison, withstand the weight of a London double-decker bus. Without fail, all teams have to go through crash tests on both of these safety measures and more before their cars are allowed on track. Going back to the incident then, the images of Zhou indicate the roll hoop didn't survive the initial roll, and that it was the halo and other surrounding safety structures that prevented the driver's head from hitting the ground thereafter. What the FIA will want to better understand is what forces were at play and the scale and number of impacts the roll hoop took during the sequences of the crash. One fact that stands out is that Alfa Romeo is unique in the F1 grid in 2022 in running a blade-style roll structure, the concept of which has fallen in and out of favour over the years. Alfa Romeo returned to the blade-style solution this year, having not used one since 2019, the year after the halo was first introduced. One featured on its 2017 and 2018 challenges too. Prior to this, blade-style rollover structures had been employed by Mercedes in 2010 and both Force India and Lotus Racing in 2011. The arrival of Mercedes' solution in 2010 led to action from the FIA, amid concerns that, given how narrow the structure was, it might dig into the ground on a soft surface if the impact was in the wrong place. As a consequence, the designs that have followed have all had to have a much wider blade in order to comply with the regulations. In all of the examples mentioned, the choice of a blade roll structure has been favoured over a traditional hoop, owing to two main factors: aerodynamic gains and weight. And it's the latter that is obviously a significant factor for teams that have battled to bring the bulk of their cars down in 2022. In the case of the latest incident, the FIA will have access to G-load sensors, telemetry data, and the actual car parts to fully understand what factors were at play and if the blade-style structure performed any differently to how a more regular roll hoop would. It's important to clarify though that the design used by the Alfa Romeo team has passed the requisite crash tests imposed by the FIA. One of the issues with Zhou's incident was that it was a compound scenario of multiple and different impacts. The roll structure had undergone a significant load in the vertical direction as the car landed upside down. Then, it was followed by a continuous longitudinal load as it scraped upside down along the track. You could argue, therefore, that it did its job completely in the first instance, with the nature of the accident then shifting more to a reliance on the halo. One aspect that could be considered for improvement is the way that roll structures are bonded to the chassis, and this is an important element for defining its presence and usage in a multiple impact crash. It's impossible to test for every eventuality, however there's no doubt that the FIA will investigate this extensively to make sure this incident is a one-off. But at the end of the day, the main thing is that Zhou is fit and okay, and we're incredibly glad to see so. In his own words, "The halo saved me today," and it goes to show that every step we take in improving our cars has real, valuable results.